Man, I think that some of these journalists that we have in the country needs to be transparent with the people of this country and just join political parties and be activists, because this is exactly who they are.
Ian Cameron, you are now the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee of Police in Parliament.
And by the way, last week I was watching an interview of Pop Crew, the police union, and the police union has made it clear that they are not happy about the fact that Ian Cameron, the crime activist, he is now the chairperson of Portfolio of Police in Parliament. They are not happy about it at all. And these people looks like they are going to treat Ian Cameron the same way SADU promised to treat the new basic education minister, Siviwe Kgarubi. So it looks like the unions in South Africa are not happy about the changes that are taking place. They are not happy about the government of national unity. They are not happy about the fact that there are new sheriffs in town and it is not business as usual. These people were used to ANC being in charge. Now that there are new political parties joining the ANC, they are starting to express their frustration with the fact that now they no longer have their friends in the ministerial positions. They no longer have their friends in governance. And just like with SADU, Pop Crew, the police union, was basically telling Ian Cameron how to do his job. Suddenly, Pop Crew cares about the safety of the people of this country. Suddenly, Pop Crew cares about the police work being done efficiently. These are the people that never said a word when Bheki Cele was still the police minister. And we know how that worked out. Bheki Cele did the most terrible job as the police minister in this country. People are slaughtered in this country. South Africans are not feeling safe. And at this point, it doesn't matter where you live. You can live in the suburbs, you can live in the townships, you can live in informal settlements, or you can live in the farms. It doesn't matter where you live in the country today. You are not safe and you feel unsafe. And Bheki Cele was just a police minister who was an ambulance chaser. He basically did nothing to ensure the safety of the people of this country. And today, when South Africans look at the South African Police Service, they don't see this institution as an institution that can be trusted with their safety. When South Africans look at the police members, they don't look at these people as people they can entrust with their safety. And most of these things, we can actually say that thanks to Bheki Cele, that we are where we are today. Thanks to Bheki Cele, and we are where we are today. And I want you guys to please remind me of the time Pop Crew actually said anything about the terrible job that Bheki Cele did. Now that Ian Cameron is the new chairperson of the Portfolio of Police in Parliament, suddenly these people have found their voice. Suddenly these people cares about the crime. Suddenly they care about the safety of South Africa. Are these people going to make it easy for Ian Cameron and Senzo Mchunu to do their job? Are these people going to make it easy for Ian Cameron and Senzo Mchunu to do their jobs? These are the same questions that we asked about SADU. But SADU made it clear that this woman who comes from the Democratic Alliance, Siviwe Kgarubi, we are not going to be friends with this woman. We don't trust this woman. This woman is not going to drive their transformational agenda. I mean, you see, when you see SADU and when you see Pop Crew and when you listen to these unions, they are saying the same things. Suddenly SADU cares about the transformation. Suddenly SADU cares about the education of young people in this country. And these are people who never said anything. When we had Angie Motshekga as the basic education minister, these are people who said nothing about the transformational agenda. They said nothing about the safety of teachers in schools. But today we have a new basic education minister in Siviwe Kgarubi. Now these people have found their voice. Now we are talking about Pop Crew. Pop Crew, same thing. Bheki Cele was the police minister, and these people never said a word when Bheki Cele was the police minister. They never expressed their frustrations with nothing when Bheki Cele was the police minister. And today they want to they want to attack Ian Cameron and make it nearly impossible for Ian Cameron to do his job. They are saying simply because this man comes from the Democratic Alliance, he has already shown us what he stands for. This is what Pope Kroo says. This is what the police unions are saying about the new administration that belongs to the government of national unity. As South Africans, man, we really need to be careful of these people. We really need to be careful of these people. And the journalists that are conducting these interviews, they are not making anything easier. If anything, they are making everything harder. They are making everything harder. Guys, I want you to listen to this interview, and I want you to tell me if this is not the worst interview that you have ever heard. Because for me, this is the worst interview that I've ever heard. I know that we review a lot of interviews on these shows, but this interview, man, has to be there. Has to be the top 3 of the worst interviews that I've heard.
Plenary structure.
Yeah. Ian Cameron, you are now the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee of Police in Parliament. It's not a small position. It's not a position to be taken lightly. However, there are those who are watching you and are listening to you, but cannot help but transport themselves to the blackface incident in 2012. Do you think that you may have a credibility crisis as chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Police?
I mean, like, before Ian Cameron answers this question, I'm going to go back, and so that if you forget the question, before Ian Cameron answers this question, guys, who cares about the blackface? Who cares about the blackface when South Africans feel so unsafe? And right now, you are talking about a man who literally put his life in danger to protect the black communities. You are talking about credibility, but at the same time, you are talking about a man who put his life in danger. You are talking about a man who was not fearful to confront the minister and tell the minister that you guys are not doing your jobs properly, because if you guys were doing your jobs properly, we wouldn't be here. So that incident of Ian Cameron painting his face black, what does it have to do with the fact that this is a competent person that has been appointed in this position? This is a competent person. This is someone who put his life in danger. Man, you know, when we talk about Ian Cameron, this is one of those people that I highly respect. This is the person that I highly respect. And I was not happy that time when Ian Cameron was doing the back and forth with Becky Cele, because I remember Ian Cameron stood up and he also he confronted Becky Cele and told him that, man, this is what the community is going through. And you, as the police minister, you seem to be interested in these media events instead of actually getting to work and making sure that the people are safe. And the people of that community, they actually clapped hands for Ian Cameron because they know that this man is an activist. But as soon as Becky Cele shouted, "Shut up," that controversial "shut up," the same people that are harassed by criminals, they started clapping hands and turned their backs on Ian Cameron. This is when I actually saw that maybe our people are not happy, or maybe our people are not ready for change. Because how can you clap hands for someone who tells the activist that's in your street with you guys to shut up? How can you be happy about that? You are talking about someone who actually has a resume of fighting crime, and you want to go back to something that was done when? Why does it matter? Why does it matter? It doesn't matter. The safety of the country at this point matters. The safety of the country, the safety of South Africans, this is what should matter. Do you think when people look at Ian Cameron and the fact that this man is the chairperson of the portfolio of police in Parliament, do you think people are sitting there and thinking, man, what about the blackface man? No, they know that this person, he was in the streets with the communities. This person put his life on the line so that the people can be safe. And you, as the journalist, you think, just because you once painted your face black, it means that you're gonna struggle with the credibility. What kind of journalists are these? What kind of journalists are these?
Cases to court, prosecuted properly.
You are now the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee of Police in Parliament. It's not it's not a small position. It's not a position to be taken lightly. However, there are those who are watching you and are listening to you, but cannot help but transport themselves to the blackface incident in 2012. Do you think that you may have a credibility crisis as chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Police?
No, actually, not at all. In fact, I don't think there's anyone in Parliament at the moment that didn't play some kind of an activist role in the past. So that's point number one. Point number two, anyone that would go and do a little bit of homework about that specific campaign would see that there was zero ill intent and it was against racial discrimination, which is, I think, very important to mention. I've read some sweeping statements about it, and it's clear to me that people are utterly ill-informed. And then thirdly, apart from that, is that my focus is crime. It always has been. It's been violent crime. For over the last decade, it's what I've dedicated my entire career to. And I've worked across every single cultural, racial, and community line in this country, and I still do. Just today, I visited yet another family in one of the poorest townships in the Western Cape that lost a beloved daughter not too long ago when she was burnt in a trolley bin. So I am not going to have myself distracted by sideshows. Our focus is to stop 85 people from being murdered every day in South Africa, and once we start addressing that, I think we need to start looking at the other major crime crises that we have in this country.
Do you regret that incident?
I do not, and I look, I think as an activist, I've been very outspoken before. I'm not, I was an activist. As I said to you earlier, I don't think there's anyone in Parliament that was not an activist before. Something I find very interesting is that while you and I are having this discussion, you are not asking about the fact that on a day like today, 87 people were killed. It's interesting to me that you also don't ask the question about what the merit of that specific campaign was and why it was done. So it's...
Man, like, this is propaganda, my guy. This is propaganda, my guy. They don't need to do the digging. They don't need to do any investigations. They don't need to do any of that. And it is quite shameful, man. Can you imagine having the whole chairperson of Portfolio of Police on your show, and you don't mention anything about the fact that 85 people are being slaughtered in the streets of South Africa every day? Can you imagine, man? You have the chairperson of Portfolio of Police, and these are questions that people, man, are hoping that you ask, but no, you are not interested in these questions. You're not interested in these questions. If anything, you are asking about the blackface man. Who cares?
It seems to me that you're only going on face value, and I think it would be better if you approached it more objectively.
Well, let me be objective about it, because structures of the Democratic Alliance, and I'm taking you back now to 2014, when...
I'm sorry, is this related to the Police Portfolio Committee?
No, you want me...
So why are you asking him why are you asking him about the matters that are not related to the Portfolio Committee? Why? Why? He is there as a representative. He's there as the chairperson. Why are you not asking him about his job?
And
I'm sorry, is this related to the Police Portfolio Committee?
No, you want me to justify why I'm asking you the question about blackface, because you are trying to marry what you say was an activist role.
Because
blackface
you said to me we're
is a very
discussing
offensive
policing
issue.
and crime tonight. No,
Ian Cameron,
I think
Ian Cameron,
you're not...
You're saying to me,
I
need to justify why I'm asking you this question. Remember, you are a public you're a public representative right now, and
correct.
You have
and
to...
you're a journalist?
Indeed, and I'm actually doing that job of a journalist, because this is a matter that became topical very recently, and I'm saying to you,
but then structures of the Democratic Alliance,
Democratic Alliance.
I'm sorry, you're not being truthful. Matter. I'm sorry, no, they haven't.
No,
they haven't. They haven't.
So they didn't condemn a blackface incident in the Democratic Youth Alliance, in the DASO incident back in 2014.
You first of all, just explain to me, what does this have to do with crime in South Africa?
Right now, what you are doing is swaying the conversation away from
No, I'm not. I'm saying to you the following. I'm saying to you that you asked me for an interview about crime and policing. And now for 2/3 of the interview, you're speaking about something that has been explained. It's been discussed. The DA has commented about it. I have commented about it. I've said that today I might do things differently. I said that 3 weeks ago already.
Yeah, but you also say that you don't regret
you
it.
You are not being truthful about the way that you are approaching this interview. You told me that tonight we were discussing crime. We were discussing that, and I find it very sad.
Man, Ian Cameron is not standing for that. He's not standing for that. He's not standing for that. So if this thing happened in 2014, why are we talking about it today in 2024, 10 years later? Why are we talking about it? Why? Do you think that people are going to feel unsafe because Ian Cameron painted his face black? This is a person who was there in the streets with black people. This is a person who has patrolled many communities of black people. Do you think now black people will care about the fact that Ian Cameron painted his face black 10 years ago? It is not relevant today. It is not relevant today. And the fact that you are not asking him about the crimes that are killing South Africans, you are not asking him about anything that has to do with his new job, it shows that you only brought him to the show so that you can push your own propaganda. You were never intending on actually asking him about crime. Because if you wanted to ask him about the blackface, you could have made it clear that Ian Cameron, we know that you are the new chairperson of the portfolio of police, but please, man, forget that a minute. I want to ask you about that blackface that you have also explained. I want to ask you about that blackface. Then the interview would have been clearer that, okay, I'm here to actually try to explain again to South Africans why I painted my face black. But you are not going to ask someone to come to the show to ask him about crime, and when that person is on the show, you say, no, let's forget about crime, let's forget about South Africans that are dying, let's forget about the fact that people are not safe, let's forget about the fact that the South African Police Service as an institution is a corrupt institution, let's forget about the fact that South Africans do not trust the South African Police Service, let's forget about all of those things, let's talk about the blackface man. Do you think that you will suffer any credibility with that incident that you did? It's insane. It's insane. It's crazy, man.
About the way that you are approaching this interview. You told me that tonight we were discussing crime. We were discussing that. And I find it very sad that we're not talking about the children being murdered in Langa and Yanga, but you choose to rather focus on something that was against racial discrimination, by the way, which I haven't heard you say or acknowledge in any way. And I think that is utterly unfair of you. I also think it would be unfair of you to challenge me without having been truthful about what the discussion would entail. And saying that I'm a public representative is also quite unfair, because that basically means that, according to your definition, I would need to stand and receive any kind of criticism, whether unfair or not, just because I am a public representative. I approach my work fairly and objectively. I've done so over the years. I have assisted in putting hundreds, if not more, very serious, violent offenders behind bars across all groups. And if you've walked a day in my shoes, then you can judge me. But please don't make assumption about who and what I am because of one thing that has been taken completely out of context, and you haven't acknowledged what the merit of a specific action was more than a decade ago. If you want to judge me, spend a day in my shoes, and then you're more than welcome to.
Jeez.
Well, look, for what it's worth, at least you have addressed the matter, because in the first instance, you said you don't regret it, but you also say that given another chance, perhaps you would have acted differently.
No, I said it's now more than a decade later. I have also developed. I'm older. I'm not an activist anymore, and therefore I think it's important to acknowledge. You would have noticed if you researched it properly that 3 weeks ago I said the same thing, and so did the DA. And we also said that times have changed, and the way that we communicate certain things that we feel strongly about have also changed. And as times change, we adapt.
And people grow, man.
So it again, I think it's a very unfair approach of yours, and I think you've actually detracted value from the huge and important oversight role that we're meant to actually be playing regarding crime as a portfolio committee. And I'm so grateful for the committee that we have, because yesterday, despite different cultural approaches, political views, etc., we've got a committee that aren't sidelined by sideshows, but that are actually focused on fighting crime for all the people of South Africa.
Ian Cameron, let me thank you very much for your time.
I mean, like, it's insane, man. This whole thing of trying to hold people accountable of things they said or did when they were a bit younger, man. It makes no sense. People grow, man. People grow. All of us, we have said some things that we are not proud of. We have done some things that we are not proud of. But for people to try to hold us accountable for things that we have done when we were a bit younger, it makes no sense. It makes no sense. I remember when Bheki Cele was busy making noise, Ian Cameron basically challenged Bheki Cele and said, Bheki Cele, how about we go in patrol today? You are not coming with your security, you are not coming with your blue light. Please come with us and the community to patrol the streets and see how filthy the streets are. There was no way Bheki Cele could have taken up that challenge, because Bheki Cele loves talking. He loves talking about stuff. But when it comes to actually getting on the ground and doing the job, it is hard. That's why Bheki Cele never actually went with Ian Cameron. If Bheki Cele was a minister who actually cares about the people of this country, he would have taken his pistol, put it on your waist, and said, Ian Cameron, let's go and patrol the street. Let me see how dirty the streets are. Let me see how dirty the streets are. But because Bheki Cele is a blue light minister, he was a blue light minister, there is no way that he was going to do something like that without his security. So Ian Cameron is telling him that, man, if you want to judge me, please come and walk in my shoe. Walk in my shoe, and after walking in my shoe, you can come and judge me. These are the same things that he told Bheki Cele, that do not sit there with your blue light and tell us to shut up. Do not sit there and pretend to be better than us when we are the ones that are dealing with corrupt and dangerous criminals every day. We put our lives on the line every day. Every day, these people know me, that I put my life on the line every day so that they can be safe. And you can come here with your blue light and you pretend to be better than us and tell us to shut up. We are not going to allow that. We are not going to allow that. And I never respected Ian Cameron like that time. I actually respected him, because this time we are talking about someone who actually was on the streets doing something. We talk about people who are actually doing something, instead of people who simply sit there and complain and tell others that, yeah, and judge others like Xoli. It is so sad, man. Like, just imagine the whole interview with the chairperson of the portfolio of police. The whole interview, you could have covered up the important issues that are affecting South Africans. You actually missed on an opportunity to cover up on the issues that are affecting South Africans, but you took majority of the time of the interview to talk about nonsensical issues. And shout out to Ian Cameron, man, for not standing up to that nonsense. Shout out to Ian Cameron for not standing up to that nonsense. Guys, please tell me what you think in the comment section. Don't forget to hit that like button, and the most important part, subscribe. My name is Thomas Maba, so I will see you next time. Bye-bye.